Changing the Sales Game on webtalkradio.net. I'm your host, Connie Whitman. You know, I'm happy that you're here and joining us today. Now, as you listen to the show, of course, I hope you feel my passion about helping you on your journey of, and really, I think we're all selling all the time, whether we realize that or not. That's number one. But I think sometimes when we think about sales, we get that knot in our stomach that we feel that icky, sleazy kind of perspective. And that's not okay with me. So I have a free gift for you to help you on your journey of changing your paradigm of thinking about sales. It's my free communication style assessment. Kind of important to know how your message is landing with the people that you speak with. So if you take my communication style assessment, link is in the show notes, you get 2 reports. One, spotlighting your just superpowers and how natural you show up. Kind of need to know that so that we can leverage it and lean into it. Flip side, you'll receive a report with your lowest score, which is the style that you probably have a little bit more effort communicating with. So again, being mindful of that and shining a light on that blind spot, hopefully will help you with all your communication, with all of your conversations with bosses, colleagues, prospects, whoever it might be. If you're loving the show, please subscribe so you don't miss an episode. Share, right? Because sharing is caring, and rate and review. I do read the reviews and I'm touched at some of the things that people are saying about the show. So I'm honored and I thank you. And I do appreciate those comments. Now, to get us in the zone for today's conversation, I have a motivational quote, and that quote is by Unknown. And Unknown said, "If you don't tell your story, someone else will." Now, for me, that marketing and public relations, look, I know it's a necessary part of business, right? Well, my zone of genius is sales. It is not PR and marketing. So what do I do when it comes to those 2 topics, or really getting the message out there from the digital framework? I'm vulnerable and I have blind spots. So what do? I have to hire people to help me where that is their zone of genius. So of course, today I have a guest who their zone of genius is all about marketing and PR, and she is absolutely amazing. So it's Shannon Procise, and she is going to guide, let me back up. So Sharon is the go-to guide for visionaries seeking to create community and cultivate raving fans. Shannon's the founder of the Business Acceleration Network, a trailblazing community for conscious business owners who are here to make an impact. Please help me welcome my amazing friend and wonderful guest, Shannon, to the show. So Shannon, thanks for being on.
Thank you so much. Yeah, we really need each other, because at the end of the day, Connie, I can help people get PR and marketing, but if they can't close the sale or, have that system of follow-up and communication, then we really, we need each other. When I met you, I was like, oh my gosh, this is a match made in heaven.
It is. And when we met, we said that. And I remember we're in an event that we were talking, I'm going to be a mentor at your program, which we'll talk about today. And you have it ongoing for our future listeners. Don't worry, we've got your back too. But when we met, and I don't know, I said 2 or 3 things. Oh, are you going to do? Are you going to do? Are you going to do? And you're like, and that's why I need you in my community, because I see things that, even though you're great at marketing and PR, and I don't see things on the marketing and PR side, because that's not where our focus has been for most of our career, right? You get really good at things, but that doesn't mean you're good at everything. And that's why I'm excited to have you on, because promotion and telling our story kind of important, and that's really your zone of genius. So my first question, Shen, what got you started in the marketing and the PR space, the public relations space?
Yeah, so I was really passionate. I was actually paralyzed after a surgery. I was in a car wreck, had a surgery, ended up being paralyzed. And they, went through months of trying to figure out what to do. I had no more insurance. And then I ended up meeting a Qigong master. And after a few classes, started getting movement in my arm. After 2 months, I got full range in my body. And I was just like, oh my gosh, there are all of these incredible modalities out there that most people don't know about. And so I got really passionate about learning more, studying more. And I ended up doing my first event, and I was a single mom with no money. And I'm like, but wait, I got to get people, I got to get people to these events. And I started studying PR, started studying marketing, and ended up finding and working with a gentleman who sold. Do you remember when they tore down the Brooklyn Bridge? And
Yes.
they actually sold little pieces of the Brooklyn Bridge, and he got millions and millions of dollars in free press, and I loved his way of doing it. And so with the I just started doing events. I started bringing people together, and I found that anything we do, like in order to get a sale, you have to get people there to talk to, right?
Absolutely.
And
Yeah.
how important it was. So I went from being paralyzed, challenged, to inspired and motivated, and really wanting to help a lot of people, because there's a lot of people that are good at what they do, but when it comes to getting the sales or getting in front of people or telling their story, that's where a lot of them need help. So
Yeah. And you ask, this too, like I'll ask people that when I network, because I'm always looking to support other business owners, right? And I'll say, well, what's your ideal client? And they go on and on and on and on. And then I ask more questions. Well, is there an industry? Is there? And then they're like, oh, I never thought about that. Oh, I never thought about that. I think you need to think about that because you're giving me this vast amount of people, but they're not in my world. So in my mind, I'm thinking I can't help you. Whereas if you were very strategic, I might have 10 people that will pop in my head and I could do an intro email to those 10 people directly to you. Forget about going through my whole email list. That really isn't appropriate. But if you don't know, I don't know. And I'll just share a really funny story now that you said that. When I first started in sales 40 years ago, that we were taught, I know 40 years ago.
I was like, you look too young to have.
Thank you. I love you for that. Thank you. Thank you, my friend. But yeah, 40 years ago, and it was insurance. And they were like, and before you leave, you get 3 referrals and you ask them to pull out their, their Rolodex in the day or their address book. And that never made me comfortable because I thought, well, I don't know who their family and friends are. Can I help them? Right. Are they in my zone of genius? So what I started doing, I didn't follow that philosophy because I thought it was pushy and obnoxious, to be honest. Can you imagine I meet you for the first time? Can you pull out your address book so you can introduce me to 3 people? Like, what? Then these people don't even know me. They're meeting me for the first time. So fast forward, well, what do? You still need to get in front of more people. The referral aspect, I think, is important, but I didn't know what to tell them. So once I got to know them, I'd be like, hey, you mentioned your brother. He's in this situation. You know what I think I can help him with? And I would throw out an idea and I go, listen, no pressure. If you want me to have a conversation, I'd love to help them. It might be worth exploring because I think this is a blind spot, or I think I got more referrals that way because it was very targeted, because I knew what I was asking for, because I understood who I was speaking with.
To.
So that's the other thing. I think what you just described is we need to be strategic, not just throw crap against the wall. And I think marketing and PR has become just be everywhere. And when you're everywhere, you're nowhere. Right?
Yeah. Oh my gosh. So could somebody work with you? Because I'm just sitting here, we help people with their elevator pitch and things like that.
Yes.
But the fact that could somebody hire you and work with you just to help them with that pitch for networking? Is that something that you've done, or do you have a course on that? Because that is so important. As you're talking, I'm like, I know that people don't realize that that's like a faucet. That, to me, that's the foundation. Like, how are you sharing what you do with others?
Yes. And I know you have a workshop for, what do you call it? I call it a value statement. You call it something else. It's the value statement. I don't want to say pitch because I don't like that word. It's not a pitch, but it's their
conscious calling or their elevator pitch.
Their elevator pitch.
Yeah, elevator pitch.
Their elevator pitch.
You
work with people too. So here's the thing, and I'm curious what you have found. But when I go to a live networking event versus a Zoom networking event, it's very different. You have a little bit more time live, even though you want to be brief and concise. But, there's smiling and there's engaging and you're introducing other people. So there's a little bit more body language going on. When we're in the Zoom rooms, you have such limited attention span. Plus you have multiple people that have to give their value statement. So you really want to get it locked and loaded to less than that 30 seconds. And for me, how sometimes you have 50 people in a Zoom room and they say, oh, put what you do in the chat. And then, people put like 5 paragraphs. Can I tell you, Shannon, I'm not reading it. And I think I'm not working with them, right? you got to get it down to that 17 to 20 words, and you should have a Linktree link so that I can find you on LinkedIn and all of those things after. You should not have 5 million links either. So there's certain behaviors that you and I see that I think open the door to having the sales conversation, right?
I just want to highlight, before I got on this, those that are listening, before I got on this interview with you, you gave tips, which I knew, I knew when you get on radio, these, but it's like just what you shared right now with the link tree and that message. All of these little touch points are sales, and even our email signatures, everything that we do. And so, Connie, that I just want to highlight that is such a huge gift, because it's true. We don't read all of them. I look for the short ones. I look for the people that are to the point. I'll even click on the links if they're there. So, oh my gosh, you are just a gem.
Yeah, back at you, sister. So now before you mentioned free publicity with the Brooklyn Bridge, right? You said the free.
Yes.
Can anyone get free publicity?
That's such a great question. Anybody can get free publicity. And what's fascinating about my gift, Connie, is I can sit with people and I can help you come up, give me 15 minutes and I can come up with 40 stories, 40 articles, 40 things, ideas that you can write about. It's a myth. People think, well, you have to be a nonprofit. No, you just have to have a good story. That's really what it is.
Well, and a story that has meaning, has movement, right? Has action for what we want other people to do. And before we started, we were talking about clarity, right? Clarity of that conversation and connection. And we had a meeting this week, Shannon and I, because I'm going to be a mentor in your program. And I said, okay, I have 5 questions for you. Right? These are the things that I'm missing so I could show up prepared, right? And you had the answers for me. So this clarity of communication, I think, is really important. Mm-hmm. And I think that we're hot messes instead of figuring out what are my stories that are applicable to tell, that show my point, but also create this action, right? That we're letting people know how to connect with us, like you just did, right? So I think that's important. Give us some ideas of what are free publicity that's out there.
Yeah, so I'm going to share the 3. So I focus on 3 ways of getting free publicity. One is education. So we all have tools, tips, strategies, ideas, things that we use to share that you can get free press. You can get in articles, you can get in, on TV. If there's an education piece or an awareness piece that you share is great. The other piece is community give back. Anytime, like if I'm doing specific things, like we have this event that you keep talking about, the Media Magic Bootcamp. Well, we use a portion of proceeds that actually go to sponsor young entrepreneurs. And we sponsor young entrepreneurs in the program. So anytime you're giving back to the community, or anytime you're paying it forward, or anytime there's they love that good news, right? They love that place. And then the other one is human interest. So you heard me talk about the paralyzed shoulder. So that was, Aaron Brockovich, Gandhi, we have all of these human interest movies. Yes. People love human interest stories. Now, in the news, you'll notice that there's a lot of constant negative news. So I just said 3 things that we tend to focus on, but we also in those things can talk about the problem. If you're educating somebody, you can talk about the challenge. But part of what we do at Media Magic is we want to spread good news. We want to spread good information. So those are the 3 things that we focus on: human interest, personal human interest. Where's an adversity you overcame? And we all have more than one, right? And then the education, and then the community give back or events, or ways that the community can benefit from what you're doing.
So all 3 are so important. And it's funny, I didn't know that you were paralyzed. All the conversations we've had, isn't that interesting? I didn't know that. But here's the thing, right? You single mom, like we have catalysts in our life of put one foot in front of the other. You don't really have a choice here, right? Because you have this kids that are depending on you, yet you're paralyzed. Like that's an inspiring story that through whatever, right? The opportunity presented for you to meet these holistic modalities, right? That actually ended up healing you. That's magic, right? But so you're excited to share that story and share your story. And then now with the media magic, everybody has a journey. And when you can share that journey with clarity, like you did, I think it inspires people to say, well, wait a minute, if she did it, maybe I can do that. Or wait, how did she do that? That's fascinating. I'm kind of interested. That might be their next step, right? It's always about that next step of action. And I don't think people always know where it goes. So the story is just a really nice way to help people move forward with a tangible example, so that they could say, oh my gosh, she sounds like me, or oh my gosh, I had a situation like that. Not that I was paralyzed, but I was a single mom, didn't know where my next food, where I was going to buy the food for the kid. Let me check out Shannon because I have a business and maybe I'm not exposing myself properly, right? These are the dots that we could connect through the show and through our meetings and different things. Now, when I know you talk about a press kit too, right? So that we're getting the right information out there. What are like the 5 essentials or the essentials when you help people put their press kit together?
Yeah. So the most powerful thing out of all this, which does involve your story, is what I call the expert power bio. So that is about you. A lot of people, doctors will use CVs, will use resumes for jobs. Those are important, but this is the story about you. And the expert power bio is used to attract speaking gigs, used to, for me, close big 4- and 5-figure deals. So it's a way to really let people know who you are through text. The other piece is a press release. Having a press release ready. Anytime you contact the media, they're going to want to know, send us something. And so to be able to have that ready is important. Also having any sort of company material, marketing material, business cards, brochures, website. Those are things that are important to have ready. Now, I always tell people, if you're a startup and you're just getting started, like, you don't have to have all these things and get together to make money. You know this, Connie, in sales. We know this as salespeople, that this illusion that you have to have everything in order is just an illusion. I have somebody 2 months ago that reached out to me that just started a business. We started talking about websites and all of this stuff. She started getting overwhelmed. I said, look, go out and beat on some doors. Within 2 days, she went and knocked on some doors with a business card, with the flyer, and she closed some deals. So as I'm sharing this, just know, sorry, Connie, I get on my rant of, we can be unstoppable, right? You don't have to have all these together. These are things to be ready and set yourself up for success. The other thing is action photos. So action photos, a lot of times people will use headshots, which are important, but in free publicity, when I first shared my story about being paralyzed, it said, send me a photo. I sent them a headshot. I think you've heard this, Connie, and they didn't print it. And I was just like, what am I, chopped liver? Like they didn't like how I looked. And then once I started really looking into it and studying it, then the next one, I ended up getting like a huge photo, and it's just me standing next to somebody pointing at a brochure. Right. It was an action photo. And so that's really important. And then any former press clippings, speaker sheets, speaker reels, anytime that you've been in the media before, those are really great so that they can link and see you and hear you or read you to include in the press kit. And I have one more thing that I think just is good for business, and that is an order form. I know for me, when I book speakers, Connie, I want to know, what are you selling, right? I want to know, what are you offering? Now, I don't turn that in for a media, news, radio, TV, but an event producer. A lot of times, if your medium is speaking, everything we're sharing here, it doesn't have to be radio, TV, print. It could be speaking in front of a crowd of 1,000 people or whatever that is. A lot of event producers just want to know, what are your offerings and how does that work? And for me, it's just to navigate so I can share, okay, Connie has this, you need to go here, or, okay, I have another speaker, make sure that you guys play well together. So I like to be able to know, what is it that people offer. And I also found, Connie, that a lot of people are not receiving the money they want because they're not prepared to receive the money they want, right?
Mentally.
Yeah. Well, and plus, like people, I meet I work with a lot of nonprofits. They'll come to me and say, "Hey, I'm looking for sponsors." I go, let me see your sponsor deck." They don't have a sponsor deck, right? Like, so there's certain things to be ready so that I can give you money and understand what it is I'm purchasing or investing in.
And see, again, it goes back to the clarity, right? We think we need, and then what do we really need? And I think we need to peel back that onion and start with something that's going to start bringing revenue in. If we have revenue, then you could build the correct website, do it right the first time, spend that little extra money to get it in the right person's hands to be able to honor and deliver what you need. But if you don't have the income coming in, we're looking for the cheapest version. And a lot of times then we end up doing it 3 and 4 times because we did it wrong the first time. So we're wasting time and money because we don't have that income coming in. So I love that you said you make recommendations so people get the revenue, and then they can move forward with these other pieces of the puzzle. And my philosophy is the same. Stop doing that. Let's get money coming in, and then we could add that piece to the puzzle. Then you can hire me as a one-on-one coach, do the group program first. So we move the needle, you get money coming in, and then you can hire me one-on-one, and then we can move the needle quicker. But don't start there because you don't have the money for that, right? So it's all about figuring out the finances and time, but using it all effectively and efficiently. So we move the needle as quick as we can, because it's always about generating revenue back so we can do more, whatever that means to you, for you, like the charitable piece. If I have a lot of income coming in, I'm really happy to give a percentage to that charity, whatever it might be, that give back like you do for the young entrepreneurs. I think these pieces of the puzzle are really important. The other thing you said, with the press kit, the speaker's reel. What if someone has never spoken before? Like, how do you get that speaker's reel, or what is a good way? You're my first time speaking, right? I'm coming to your place. It's the first time I've ever spoken. What do I show you to show who I am? Does that make sense?
Yeah. So, so you can hop on Zoom and just make a personal welcome. "Hi, I'm Connie. This is what I do," and speak to them. You can also write something to them. I actually, when I'm hiring people, Connie, I ask them to write to me, and if they follow instructions or not, it determines whether I work with them. And so if you don't have a speaker reel, then definitely look at where can you record yourself. And I know, like, we help people put together speaker reels. We can do that from photo and voiceover. And so, so that's definitely something that they can do. Connie, can I just back up? Because you said something that I really want to highlight that's so important.
Sure.
I think there's different levels of businesses. You know, there's a startup, and what we found with startups, a lot of them are focused on social media and focused on infrastructure and things like that. And when I heard you talk, what really came to my heart and mind is you're out of sequence if you're focused on social media. I don't mean to knock, I love my social media friends, but if you need revenue, you need to bring a coach on your team that's going to help you generate sales.
Yeah.
So I think we are living in this illusion of, well, social media and some of these aspects are going to bring me money. But at the end of the day, like, I can get you on Fox and ABC and NBC and all of these things, and we'll help you craft that message to generate that. But if they get on the phone with you and you can't close the sale, then that's what it is. So I'm sorry, I just had to say it, because most people that, when they get over 6 figures or 7 figures, they're not concerned about some of what a lot of startups are. And
Right.
you just really highlighted for me about how a lot of people are out of sequence.
Yes.
And really, if you're not generating money, you should put a pause on some of those things you're doing and engage with somebody that's going to help you generate sales.
It's interesting that now that you're saying that, Shannon, when COVID hit, like, all of my stuff prior to COVID were live, right? So I spoke live, I taught live, I networked live, everything. I met with my clients live, everything was live. And then the world stopped, and all of a sudden it was like, holy smokes, I don't have a list. I don't have a real follow. I mean, I had social media, like I posted stuff, but it wasn't consistent, and all of those pieces of the puzzle. And all of a sudden it was like, oh no, you got to be doing blogs, and you have to. And I thought, I don't have the time to do all these things. Where do I start? And I have to be honest, it was very overwhelming, because my background was not marketing and PR. My marketing is sales, going and teaching people how to sell and make more money. End of story. And so I have to be honest, I was very overwhelmed. And I remember going upstairs And I was taking all these classes online and trying to learn and doing research and LinkedIn classes, you name it. I was trying it because I thought, wow, I have all these blind spots that it's not acceptable to me, right? I have to, what do I need to do to pivot and reinvent myself? I remember after 12-hour days, I would go up. My husband was like, how you doing? I go, I've been in business 20 years. I'm an idiot. I don't know how I've been in business 20 years. Yeah, right. Just because but here's the reality. There's so much we don't know and we will never know. So you have to find people that you trust that can help you, exactly what you said. Focus on, what do I need to do today? One little thing that's going to help move my needle so I could keep the revenue coming in. Then I could try these other pieces of the puzzle. But we're not even starting with the perimeter of the puzzle. We're haphazardly trying to start from the middle out. And that's just not how you make a puzzle, right? So I think this is the problem we hear. You need to, and then having blind spots like I did. Well, where do you begin? So I think that's why it's important to have someone like you to say, whoa, breathe. Let's bring revenue in. Here's the best way to do that. And like you did with that client, go, who are your contacts that know you? You have this program or this coaching or whatever it is, go knock on some doors and put feelers out, get the revenue coming in. And then we can add this one little piece. Right. Yeah. So I think that we try to move the mountain instead of going, right. And but can I tell you, going through this after COVID as a business owner who had been in business 20 years, but the world changed, I had to learn, and I was looking at the mountain, and I have to tell you, it was tough. I cried a lot, and I don't cry, by the way. And my poor husband was like, "You can't keep up like this." And I'm like, "But I have to, because I have to learn that, and I have to learn that, and I have to learn that." So where were you, 3 years ago?
Oh, so, and I just want to highlight one of the things that we focus on at the Business Acceleration Network is really helping people get and at the boot camp. This is the first thing we do, is we show them how to tap into that inner guide to get the guidance, because we're going to put you in a room with mentors like you. Like I'm so excited, Connie, that you're going to be there for sales. And the thing is that people, for many times the first time in their life, they're getting the love and the support and the information that they've never received, and it's custom to them, right? Yes, and so they have to learn how to decipher. And my thing is I want to make sure that they know that even if Connie says something, to be able to go, hey, Connie, this is what I'm excited about, and to be able to take 100% dominion. And we do these exercises that get people to where they get clear, because if you have 10 choices, and I wish I knew you then too, Connie, because we would have went through and go, okay, how do we use this tool, of this clarity tool, to tell you exactly what is best for you? Because at the end of the day, what works for me may not be in your highest good. I always tell people, if you don't want to be on TV, then we're not going to focus there, right? Absolutely. Like if you have a fear of videos, if you don't like to write articles, like there's so many ways to accomplish goals. And this in sales, like there's many different ways to do this. And we want you to feel good. We want you to be excited. But that clarity piece, I found, is where a lot of people fumble and bumble. And so we really nip that in the bud. We do a retreat, and the first the first half day, we take people through this meditation, this exercise, because I'm like, look, some of them I've been working with for a year or two, and it's like, I want you to get absolute clarity on what's for you. And when they come out of this exercise, Connie, I mean, many of them are just like, oh my gosh, they're so clear. And that's, I think, the challenge that we have in business a lot, is what do I do? Because there's all of this information. Yeah. Thank you for letting me share that.
Yeah. It's overwhelming. And it's funny because the clarity for me, it's always about the clarity. And the other thing you said that I think is real important, and this is why I do love you and why I agreed to be part of your program and your world, right? Because our time is valuable. That's like our biggest commodity. But I love that you approach it with that customization. And I do too. And I just had my membership meeting yesterday, and we were talking and did some introductions that I think some people are going to do some work together, which to me is like, that's my biggest joy, me doing the connection and then them going out and creating magic and making money, right? That's beautiful. But anyway, we were talking, and I said to the people in the meeting, I said, if you don't understand all of the assets you have and how to break them down into pieces, because I have my 9-week program, but that doesn't mean everybody needs my 9-week program. sometimes that over that 9 weeks, you can hire me for one coaching session and we can move the needle and get done what you need to do at a lower price point and less time. But I don't know that unless I have clarity through the conversation of what do you actually need right here, right now, and how can I help you? And sometimes it's not even me. It's like, okay, I understand you need to meet Shannon. So that's where we can bring in people to add the value, but then that validates me that I'm real, right? I do the
Yeah.
right thing for the client, but I understand before I make any recommendations. And sometimes the recommendations aren't me because that's not where they need to start. If you have 0 people coming in, I can help you with the sales process and the sales conversation. But if you have nobody to talk to, why are you working with me? We got to get people coming in the door, and then I'm the next piece of the puzzle. So you see what I'm saying? That customization, I think, is critical. And there's a lot, and I won't mention names or anything, but there's a lot of these different vendors out there that do what you do what I do. This is the platform. This is the template. This is how you do it, because mine works, rinse and repeat. And I think, well, but it worked for you. That doesn't mean it's going to work for me. It doesn't mean that it's going to work in my industry or with my people or my age group or whatever it is. So I think that customization piece we're losing in this world of digital, because it's like, well, yeah, I have an online class. Does everybody need that self-paced online class, or do they need the coaching, or do they need you one-on-one, or do they need that group interaction? You don't know until you understand the client. So it's never a one size fits all. Thank you for sharing that. I know. So share your free gift, because, and guys, I'll put the link in the show notes, but let's talk, because this to me is just brilliant. Yes, please.
Yeah, so this is Media Magic, and it is everything that I use to attain millions of dollars in free press. I have to say, it was endorsed by Dr. Joe Vitale of The Secret. He said, Media Magic details the entire process of getting your publicity everywhere for free. And so in here, we go through a lot of the key components of the press kit that we talked about, but I give you templates. It's like a workbook. There's fill in the blanks, how to write taglines that sizzle, even the most powerful words to include in your expert power bio. And I even bring in a branding expert. We have social media. So there's a couple chapters in there too that really encompass all of the pieces of PR. It's a quick, easy read. And so, yeah, click on your link. You can download it for free and go with it. It's really beautiful.
Absolutely. The other thing, talk briefly, the Media Magic
Boot camp
that we're doing on, and got for people in the future. Shannon runs this constantly, but the one in January, because we're being recorded in January, is January 19th and 20th, right?
Yes.
Yes. And I am one of the mentors. Yes. So come and play with us. I will put that link in the show notes, but tell people in that 2 days, really, really, what are they going to walk away with? Because it's dynamic, Shannon. This is an amazing 2 days.
Yeah. So we work on completing your press kit in 48 hours or less. So the minute you sign up, you get our expert power bio system, which is simple, 13 questions, even an audio training that goes with it.
Love it.
And you get to show up with, hopefully these questions answered. If not, we've had people sign up the day before and promise you're going to get a ton out of it. We help you master your elevator pitch. So as we talked about in the beginning, Connie, like your words are so important, and to be able to do that is the essential. So we work on those both days, but what's really a lot of fun is not only do you get the support of the mentors guiding you and giving you feedback, but we do exercises and breakout rooms with your elevator pitch. So you get to know almost everybody that attends. Last year we had almost 90 people, and it was just, everybody said, they were like, I've been to so many live events. There was never one like this where it was super engaging. They got to know everybody, and a lot of them got business from that process of working on their pitch. We have a media panel. So you get to hear from the media, meet the media, and even have the opportunity to get their information to share your story, share your pitch. And then we work on your press release. And so I give you the template, right? But you customize this yourself and show you exactly how to do the press release in a way that stands out above all the rest. You don't have to be a good writer to do it. You don't have to be an expert to do it. And it's really, really powerful. And so what I love, Connie, is that we have individuals like you that come and what we call brain tithe. And so you can get there, and let's say you're working on your bio and you say, hey, I want somebody to read my bio, or I want somebody to go through my questions and help me find the gems. We actually put you in a room with somebody like Connie, who will say, who you'd spend hundreds to be with, and she'll say, oh, I like this, or I don't like this, or get that individual help. So even though it's virtual, this is a hands-on, get it done workshop.
Yeah, it's dynamic, and I'm excited to be part of it. And I was honored when you asked, but it's special. It's really special, Shannon, because it's get it done. It's wonderful to go to classes and learn. Then you have to carve out the time to create and do, where this is let's learn and do. And then we have that support, right, for mentors like me and the others that are in the group, so that you can hook people up with the expertise that they need to get really clear and their messaging across the board. So, like your questions, like you said that, I look at people's questions and I think I would change this, and I would change the order. And sometimes that's all they need. It's a 5-minute conversation, but they have that opportunity now. The elevator pitch, right? You should have different elevator pitches for different things that you're doing. We'll learn, but then we're going to actually create that elevator pitch. So all of these things, it's, to me, this is a priceless workshop because of the hands-on. It's very hard after a class to then go back and execute. When you're in that zone of learning, it's much easier to start to put the movement to whatever the recommendation is, because you're there, you're in the mode, you're in thinking about you're in your case, the value statement or the questions, whatever it might be. So I'm real excited about this. Everyone, I'll put the link for getting access to be part of the 19th, 20th of January. But again, will this link, Shannon, as for people in the future, like in 2024, that link will
always work.
I do the same thing. So that no matter, we run different things, the link will be updated. So the link that's in the show notes, please check it out and get the next one that Shannon's offering. But again, the 19th, 20th, we are doing January 19th, 20th, 2023. We're locked, loaded, and ready to do it. Last thing before we leave, I just want to share a quick story about a speaker's reel. I remember I had done all these speaking events. I didn't video it. The flyers that they had I had done to promote me, I didn't keep them. I didn't keep digital copies. So when I finally realized, like, oh man, people want me to speak, and they'd ask me, well, where did you speak? And I'd give them a list, and they go, well, do you have the flyers? And I'm like, oh, I didn't keep them. So the other thing too is you don't know what you don't know. I didn't know what I needed. I didn't even know what a speaker reel was when I first started on my journey. And last year I spoke at a big conference in Dallas, and I was introduced, but I had to pay my own way. And I thought, no, I don't want to pay my own way. So I reached out to the person who was promoting it. And I said, listen, I get you don't know me. You've never seen me perform. You don't know what I deliver. Here's my speaker's reel, and here's my podcast. It gives you a vibe of how I roll and how I deliver information. I'd love to be paid, even if you just pay my expenses. And he watched it, and within an hour he said, got it. I'll pay for you to come. Excited to have you. So having that speaker reel, not only I had been introduced, I was in the door. So it's not necessarily got me in the door, but it got me paid so that I didn't have to use it as an expense, right? You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So be mindful wherever you speak, make sure someone's videoing it. If you're spotlighted on anything, keep those digital copies, and that will help you build your press kit as well. But the speaker reel is really important. If you're just starting out and you haven't spoken, that's okay. There's other ways to build your press kit. So again, I'm excited that we're going to be really doing the deep dive on the 19th and 20th. So thank you for that. Here's the deal. I know we all need more Shannon in my life. Like I said, where were you 3 years ago, sister? Right? Not that I've met you too late, because there's always tweaking that needs to happen. I am aware. But please go to Shannon's website. It's Meet Shannon, SHANNON.com. Email her if you have specific questions at support@shannonprocise.com. All of that will be in the show notes, as well as the book, Media Magic, and the link to the workshop if you'd like to come and join and play. Shannon, thank you so much. Anything else you want to just leave us with before we sign off for the show?
Yeah, I just want to let people know that there is literally thousands of dollars of free publicity with your name on it right now.
Dig it, man. And it's the beginning of the year. So let's get some good habits in place and create the things that are actually going to move the needle for us this year. Right. So I love it. Thank you, Shannon, for that. All you need to know where to go. That's the bottom line, right?
Yep.
We don't know what we don't know. Blind spots. We all have them. Thank you, my friends. I will see you in a couple of weeks, and I love you. Thanks for being on.
Thank you.
Always a joy to hang out with you. And I hope you will join me weekly as we question, build, and discover together, no matter where you are in business, career, etc. I truly hope that my guests and I provide tips, strategies, ideas that you can implement immediately. Shannon and I touched on this. Information is beautiful. If you do nothing with it, trust me, nothing's going to change. As soon as you start taking those action steps forward, one little baby step, something that Shannon or I said to say today, one baby step, and I promise you magic happens at the back end. So action becomes reaction, which becomes the miracles. So again, I hope between Shannon and I and the guests every week, we provide those actionable tips for you to implement and change your life. That's what we're here to do. Thank you for tuning in to Changing the Sales Game with me, your host, Connie Whitman, on webtalkradio.net. I'm truly honored to have you on this journey with me. And I hope that my guests and I provide some tips or ideas that just make your life a little bit and your business and your career just a little bit easier than we've done our job. I will see you next week. I love that you join me weekly, and have a great week, everyone. A blessed week. Great seeing you. Thanks.